I'd like to welcome our next speaker. He has already changed the way millions communicate, building Latin America's largest messaging platform before its acquisition by Twilio. Today, as founder and CEO of Saptiva, he's tackling a bigger challenge, ensuring the region owns its own AI future. In this keynote, Angel Cisneros reveals why Latin America must stop outsourcing intelligence and instead build the sovereign AI grid that will define its next era of innovation. Please, let's welcome Angel Cisneros.
Hi, thank you for coming. Um, I love talking about this topic, of course, that's why I'm building it. So Latin America doesn't lack data, doesn't lack talent, of course. We have a lot of bright minds in the region, which is something that we should feel really proud of. But what happens when we start outsourcing our intelligence to foreign powers? And then on top of that, we have to pay rent to use that intelligence again. I don't know, to me it doesn't make much sense. Sometimes people don't see it that way yet. But that's why I'm building Saptiva, the AI stack for Latin America, to start building our own intelligence, our own infrastructure for the next century, or perhaps the next decade, as soon as that. So I'm Angel Cisneros. I've done this before, but in a less powerful scale with messaging. So I do know a thing or two about building infra for Latin America. What happens when the whole continent outsources the intelligence to foreign entities? We consume outside models, we export our data, or they take the data from us, whatever you want to see it. We rent the infra. So if you put all those pieces together, what does that mean? It means we're not building our future. It means we're just being part of the future that somebody else is building for us. Well, not even for us, because we're not even a priority. And as a region, we're so big, we're so powerful that we cannot be depending on someone else's building the future for us. This statement might seem a little bit aggressive for some, but it's the same thing that has happened before in the region, just through a different lens. Just compare the analogy. We used to export minerals, now we export data. But what's the crucial part? That the real value is extracted elsewhere, not here. And before the value of minerals is completely different as the data. I'm pretty sure you've heard that the data is the new oil and the electricity and all that, so which is true. Why now? The price of the GPUs, the hardware, everything is dropping. So why isn't Latin America taking advantage of this situation? I don't know, I think it's just part of that we're so used to playing with what the foreign players give us. And it's not only on technology, it's on all industries. So even though the whole scenario is perfect for us to develop our own technology, it seems like we're just sitting out waiting for this revolution to happen. The hyperscaler trap, I think it's kind of the hyperscaler offset, not really a trap. And I'm not against hyperscaler. I'm not going to mention any hyperscalers. I love them. They have given us a lot of things. But the truth is that the hyperscalers, the public clouds, I mean, if you're not familiar with the hyperscaler term, the public clouds are not built for LatAm. The public clouds and most of all technology is being built outside of Silicon Valley, which is fine, it's the Mecca, but those companies build for Silicon Valley. They don't serve or cater for LatAm needs or for any other region needs. So we're just playing with whatever they send us or whatever we can grab. So in that sense, hyperscalers have given us reach, scalability, and speed of development. But I think there's only a certain level where that works for a region like LATAM, and there are several examples that I'll discuss later. But in this part, it's like, okay, yes, for certain cases, it's fine, they help us, but when we need to take control of our data, accountability, traceability, we cannot do that. That's the truth. So that's where we need to step up and do it. One of the perfect examples, I think, that I've seen during this event during the weekend is that I've seen a lot of startups complain and saying, hey, we just ran out of credits. How are we going to keep building? Or just trying or begging or asking, how do we get more credits? And that's how it's a trap. Because you think you can develop, you can count on them, but the reality is that they are focused on the business model that works for the US. For LATAM, it's completely different. So in that sense, it's like, okay, if they cannot continue giving us credits because the market is slow or we're taking more time to build our product, then it means that we need to stop developing, which is bad. The regional precedent. Everybody knows América Móvil, everybody knows Carlos Slim, Claro. They are the ones that have all the infrastructure for telecommunications, for telcos. And you can see that foreign players, Telefonica, AT&T, they have tried to come and put their footprint in the region, and they haven't been able to compete against them. Why? Because they're not built by Latin Americans. They just think and they just adapt whatever works on other regions, and they just try to make it work in Latin America, which works for some cases, but not for all of cases. That's why that's a perfect example. Then the other example is Mercado Libre. Amazon is huge. Everybody knows Jeff Bezos and what they're capable of, but the king on e-commerce in Latin America is Mercado Libre. That's it, plain and simple. Why? Because they understand how the economics, how people work. And that's exactly what we need to do also with AI. It needs to cater for our needs. Nubank is also the perfect example as that. And I know that also firsthand because my previous company, we had 95% market share in Mexico, over close to 70% in Latin America. And I faced big companies, big techs, trying to do what I did here in Latin America. And the part was like, okay, it's easier just to try to work with you. That's it. What's our thesis? Our thesis, the romantic part, is, okay, to democratize AI access for everyone. But as of lately, as I evolved the project, I've seen that the real part is, the real mission, the real thesis is your AI on your terms. That's it. Not on terms that a vendor tells you. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's your AI, if it's your data, because we have to understand that the principal part or the core component of AI is data. And if you're providing data, it's just fair enough that it has to be on your terms. So, and I'm just not being against anyone. It's just like, if I want to use a cloud, use your cloud. If I want to do on-prem, do on-prem. That's it. That's the thesis behind Saptiva. Just talking about being independent, what does that mean? I can just resume it this way, that you choose and you have control, which is the key part, to control where your models run, how your data is processed, and who has access to it. Nowadays, actually, I was talking to a bank here on the event on Saturday, and they said, we have been reluctant to do some deployments on AI because once we do that, I'm still not sure that if there's an audit or some kind of request to access the data for traceability, the hyperscaler is not going to open the door and say, hey, oh, your data is here and here and here and here, and you can see where it's coming from and who's accessing it. So that's something to think about, right? And I mean, I don't know who, well, my assistant put the thing in Seattle. It's not to make a reference to anyone, but it doesn't matter. If the door to your data center, to your machines, to whatever, it's not yours, or it's on a foreign country, then it's not yours. This is, well, it's not the best image, but it depicts what we're doing. So again, I'm not against any model. I'm just in favor of you having the options to do whatever you want. So through Saptiva, our orchestrator called Frida, because, okay, Frida Kahlo, right, and it has the I and the A. So you can access open models, closed model, your custom models you can fine-tune with your data, and it's yours. I don't care about data for me because I'm not doing any proprietary models. I just care to empower your data for you, for your business, for your needs, whatever you do. So this is that. We have the racks, whatever, that I'm sure you're familiar with, or any APIs, everything you need. So the orchestrator then has this intelligent part, and it says, okay, it's better to route it to this node, or here to avoid or improve latency, security. And then, this is the important part. You can bring your own cloud. We can do on-prem, edge, whatever. We have our own cloud as well. Right now, in Mexico, we're starting to explore Colombia for the next footprint. But that's it. This enclosures what we're building at Saptiva. And it's live, right? Okay, use cases. We're working on this one. It's a huge case for an international bank where they want to, they need to implement multi-cloud architecture. And then on top of that, based on each country, because of regulation, they need to do on-prem deployments. So that's a nightmare. How do you orchestrate multi-cloud and on-prem workloads for AI? Okay, that's what Saptiva does. That's the beauty of what we're doing. It's a big challenge, but I love that. And nobody seems to be looking at that because it's fairly new, all the AI thing. But it's happening. It's coming, and they don't want to trust foreign providers. I've heard several arguments like, oh, they're going to steal my data. I don't want this, and I just don't trust them. It might be true, it might be not, but the important part is then again that you do it on your own terms and how you want to do it. Other case, a couple of defense departments, armies that we have in Latin America, they have their own models that they wanted to deploy for surveillance systems and security systems that they said, there's no way we can do this on a foreign part. Then, until Saptiva came, and we're working on this project with a chip maker together. So basically how this works is that we have all the data from the defense departments. We're doing the fine-tuning. We're connecting to some of their tools. So once that's ready, we're going to deploy that part on the infra that the chip maker is going to deploy there, and they're going to consume some of our APIs that we'll develop. So that's a very good case as well. The talent drain. How many people do you know that are in AI, but they don't work in the region, that they work in the US, that they work in San Francisco? And it's fine if it's their own choice, but not because there's no alternative here. That's what we have to change. We're a very strong region. Why do we have to keep sending our talent overseas or to cross-border, whatever? It's just we need to build an ecosystem to prevent this and to keep building and enriching our region. We have specific advantages. On the previous panel, they were discussing all these opportunities. And I think like the fintech industry is doing very good at tackling all this, but I don't know, like, I think it's that AI is so complex, but so new as well, that nobody wants to go and tackle these opportunities. So here it is, the impact that we can have. And there, I know you probably know, but Latin America is a very fragmented industry for everything. So that might be a complex part, but for me, it's the perfect mode. And that's why it needs to be a regional player and not an international player who does this. The opportunity, the figures, the 43 billion across all AI, if you do your own research, you might see a higher figure or lower figure, or I don't know, crazy figures. The thing is that this is so new that nobody knows exactly the scale or the impact that is happening. But the important thing is that it's huge and it's out there. It's a blue ocean. In so many cases, for so many applications, or just to scrub data, clean data, I don't know, so many things that can happen. Framing the future. I mean, the future is going to come, whether we want it or not. To me, the important part is, how do we want to be part of that future? Do we want to just be observers, just riding the wave of the future that was created for us? Or do we want to be someone that actually took part on what is happening on my environment? And I'm not telling or saying, hey, we should go and do the next Meta or the next OpenAI. You can be a transformer in your own environment, in your, I don't know, in your neighborhood, in your city, in your town, and your county, whatever. But it's that you can control part of that narrative. That's the important part. The developer empowerment. To me, this is the new economy that is going to happen. That it's going to happen in the next 3-5 years. There's a study by Gartner that says that by 2027, almost 30% of all the e-commerce transactions are going to be built or driven by autonomous agents. Okay, who's going to create those agents? Everyone here who can code or can learn how to code can create that and can become part of that new economy. So I think, personally, that the developers are going to create a new economy, like maybe 5 billion economy, that it's there, that it doesn't exist. It's going to be new. But that's thanks to AI. But if we go back to something as simple as having access to a credit card, if you don't have a credit card, you cannot go into any type of cloud. So if you don't do that, then you're being left behind. So I don't know, just something to think about. Then we step into this other part where it's also very important for AI sovereignty. Going back to the part of who has the key is here. It doesn't matter if you have all the infra data centers in the country. If the key is sitting elsewhere, that's not AI sovereignty. Sovereignty represents that you have full control and ownership of everything. And that includes the bare metal, the wires, everything that runs your AI, your data. So this is very important. And I'm not here to come and build data centers because that's not my business. And I think that for the region, that's not the best solution, because it's something as simple as, how long does it take to build a data center? 3 years, 4 years, a lot of investment. Who has the capability to do all those investments? International players, or maybe people that can do it, but they're not interested in LatAm. And then you have the energy constraints, the price, all those things. So then it comes to the part that we're building, the distributed network of AI, to take advantage of every installed capacity that it's out there, and just give everyone access to AI. Where are we today? In Mexico, we have two distributed points. Well, they added the third one that it's not live yet, but it's there. So to me, it's the same thing to have 10,000, 1 million GPUs sitting on a centralized data center, or have the same amount of GPUs distributed in 1,000, 2,000 distributed points on each country. Then the magic happens with the orchestrator, and then you have the same power, and maybe even more with better performance, because there's the latency part. Something that I honestly, I didn't think it was that important until I started meeting new clients, especially in Bogota last week, where they were like saying we have to take a big frog leap to do AI thing in the US, and the latency kills us. So there we go. It's a perfect case. And then, well, the use cases that we have with the banking industry, insurance, and government. What's next? To continue building the footprint on Latin America. There are countries that are ready to embrace this part. Some others are willing, but are not that ready. So it's part of the fun of building this. So I think next country is Colombia. Then I think we're gonna go Brazil, Chile, and Argentina. So this is a question for you, for everybody, and I think it's maybe it still sounds like a big concept, but it's happening. Like, is AI for us, for our development, or just to create money for someone else that is putting the infra? And to clarify, is that we shouldn't be just consumer of AI. We should be creators of AI. That's the goal. But I think that now, the way we are, we have a lot of constraints that don't allow us to be creators and just playing with what they're giving us. To me, as a builder, as a tech person, I don't like that. I like having everything done on my own terms, and not just being an observer of what's happening out there. The call to arms, I think, seems a little bit aggressive, but I agree. So basically, let's stop outsourcing our intelligence, because I'm pretty sure that you've heard this, that it's the new Star Wars is the AI wars, and all these things. But it's true, and something that I've always thought, and on a dinner yesterday we were discussing that. What happens if, for geopolitical reasons, well, the tariffs around the world because of the US have been a big thing? What happens if tomorrow they say, okay, the AI created by US companies is only for US? And it will do a 50% tariff, or it'll be completely blocked, or it will have hallucinations, or you'll only have access to certain models. What's going to happen? And that's completely possible. And I don't think no one is thinking in the future that way. So just imagine that scenario. If that happens, then it's going to take us some steps behind, and not only limiting what we can do in the future. So that's what I'm talking about, giving the intelligence. And if we started using those tools, and then all of a sudden we have no access to it, then we just supported someone else's intelligence and not ours, and we're falling behind. So that's what I mean, and that's my message. So I think this is a bit repetitive, but yeah, we cannot have the luxury to lease someone else's intelligence that at the end of the day, it's also ours. But just because the lack of infrastructure, and I'm not talking about only bare metal. The infrastructure is the tools, the deployment engines, the regulations, well, not regulations, but the law that make it friendly, and the bare metal. So that's what I'm here for, to make possible. Thank you very much. I hope I make my message clear and that at some point it made sense what I said. So thank you very much. And I think they allow me to answer questions if you have or comments. So more than glad if you have something to say. No, no questions? Oh, okay. Okay. What's your role? What's your what do you do? Okay. You just log into Saptiva, register, you download your API key, and then you can start running. You choose from the open source model that are there. Well, I think now we released also Grok and Cohere, some of them. I don't know. But they're already there. So you don't have to download them and see where you host them. It's there. And I think nowadays there's a free period where you don't have to pay anything. So that's it. You can just start right now. See? Yep. Good. We're working with a couple of universities in Mexico. And the way that we do that is just enabling the access to AI tools without the cost and without the compromise. Because one thing, you go with the, hey, there's a vendor lock-in. Yeah, but maybe with education institutions, there's not a lock-in. But there's something that needs to be expected in exchange. I don't care about that. I just care about building the ecosystem. So it's like, okay, just start building on where we're working. We can just do workshops as well. But the main part is that you have access to AI compute free of charge. And if you want to take it up a notch, which obviously everyone wants, that we can work with NVIDIA or AMD and do specific deployments for you at very good prices. And perhaps, I mean, that's what we're working on a couple of universities. But the main starting point is just start building things with AI free of cost, and that's how we can support you.
Cuando hay data sensible en el sector bancario, por ejemplo, existe mucho ese miedo de que la data, si se usa mucho AI, quede en el knowledge base y se utilice para el mundo. Entonces, no hay regulaciones todavía de eso. Sé que Microsoft está, en Europa por lo menos, va a sacar un webinar, creo que es en septiembre, ahorita en septiembre, pero hay mucho miedo y creo que todos estamos en esa situación.
Sí, de hecho, ¿de dónde eres? ¿México?
De aquí, Guate.
De Guate, ok. Bueno, justamente ayer hablaba con un banco aquí y me decían que no tenían tema en lanzar la data donde quisieran. Dije, ok, pero creo que eventualmente lo van a regular, porque en México ha pasado. Entonces nosotros lo que hacemos, la mayoría de los bancos quieren hacer el tema on-prem. Entonces, sin salirte de tu nube. Entonces, precisamente, Saptiva te permite eso y entonces tus workloads que son sensibles, críticos, los creas ya sea on-prem o si tú no tienes on-prem, o sea, data centers, lo puedes correr en nuestra nube local y con eso cumples toda esa parte para que no salga nada a la nube. ¿No? No more questions? Ah. Ah.
So one of the use cases that you showed us, it was an integration with banking. There are a lot of banks here today, so I was wondering, how would you integrate AI into banking products? I mean, me as a customer, I just have a savings account. I just have a loan with the bank. So how does that help me as a customer?
Uh, I don't, well, I'm quite sure I'm not the perfect person to respond to that. But what we're doing is we're working with integrators that actually do the banking products because we just provide like the infra and the security part, right? So we don't develop products.
Yeah, so that's what you said on one of the previous questions. Like, you just care about building the ecosystem.
Yeah, and the infrastructure. So in the case in Mexico, we're working with a software company that has 80% market share for software in banks and a couple of other countries. And what they said is that, okay, banks are coming to ask us, how do you comply with regulation for AI? And so we're working on a joint venture to work to build products for banks. And of course, that's led by my client, and we just support with the infra and the tools for that.
Pretty much the backbone.
Yeah. Okay. No más? Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.